Some stories end when the investigation closes. This was not one of them. Even after arrests, media coverage, and public exposure, the psychological shadow surrounding the case refused to disappear. The abandoned house remained standing for years, like a monument to unresolved trauma. Villagers still avoided discussing the events openly, and many people connected to the case attempted desperately to rebuild lives permanently shaped by fear. But certain scars never fully heal. The story of the Palu family became more than a criminal investigation. It became a national symbol of hidden abuse, psychological manipulation, and the terrifying consequences of silence. Experts analyzing the case warned that environments built on fear can remain invisible for years, especially when victims become emotionally isolated from the outside world. That realization disturbed the public more than anything else. Because if something like this could exist unnoticed for so long, how many other doors remained closed? How many other families lived in silence? And how many people were still too afraid to speak? Months after the investigation officially concluded, our documentary crew returned to the village. One final time. Winter had arrived. Snow covered the empty roads. The surrounding hills disappeared beneath thick fog, while freezing wind pushed through the abandoned streets. The house looked smaller now. Yeah, older. Oh, but somehow even more disturbing than before. Its broken windows reflected the pale grey sky like hollow eyes staring across the frozen fields. Inside, dust covered everything. Furniture remained untouched. Doors creaked slowly in the cold air, and every footstep echoed through the structure with unbearable weight. One of our cameramen refused to enter the basement. Another admitted he felt physically ill while filming the interior hallway. No one laughed anymore. The atmosphere inside the house. Skepticism, not because we believed in ghosts, but because suffering leaves impressions behind. Places remember. Near the end of filming, we discovered old family photographs scattered across the floor of an upstairs room. Most were damaged by moisture and time. Faces blurred. Etchkes, torn, pilegiste. But one photograph remained almost perfectly intact. A family portrait. Everyone stood together outside the house many years earlier. At first glance, the image looked ordinary, but the longer we stared at the photograph, the more unsettling it became. Nobody was smiling. Not naturally. Their expressions carried the same strange emotional emptiness described by former neighbors throughout the investigation. Exhaustion, fear, submission, and standing near the center of the image was the man many believed controlled everything. His eyes fixed directly on the camera, cold, watching. As our crew finally prepared to leave the village, fog slowly swallowed the road behind us. And for one final moment, I looked back toward the abandoned house, standing alone beneath the dying winter light. Silent, taut, waiting, remembering. Some places never release their ghosts, even when the ghosts are still alive.